Mel. Thanks for joining.
Very welcome. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. So you're going to be talking us through personal brand, is that correct, for the next half an hour?
I am, and basically how I kind of set up my network before starting work, before starting university, just by using social media, really.
Yeah, and I think that's really pertinent kind of at the moment with the global pandemic and kind of people not being able to kind of go out and network and just meet people face to face. Having that kind of brand, getting your name out across on social media and LinkedIn is really important. So I'm going to be writing a few notes here as well, and I'm sure that the students that are watching, they'll find it really useful. So thank you so much. And are you able to share your screen, and then we can get stuck in straight away?
Absolutely, bear with.
Thank you. And again, if anyone has any questions, pop them in the chat or the Q&A, and I'm sure myself and Mel can get to them at the end, or Mel can have a look at the chat and kind of focus on them as she goes, but that's brilliant. So I will pop my camera and mic off and Mel can get started. Thanks, Mel.
No problems at all. So as just discussed with Katie there, what I'm going to go over today is how you can kind of create your own personal brand before you kind of start your career or your university journey, whichever path you decide to go down. The first and foremost thing, it sounds really cheesy, and don't worry, I'm not going to get you to put like live, laugh, love on the wall or anything, but you really need to be yourself when you're creating a network, because over the years, if you kind of not yourself, years down the line, when you kind of try and go back to that original person that you met at the beginning of your career, if you're not the same person, they may worry about kind of your integrity and who you are as an individual. So kind of by being your authentic self from the very beginning, it's really going to help you keep hold of the network that you're about to build. Find a shared interest with individuals. This could be, football, music, TV interests. For me, it was football. I started out my career as a sports journalist, and I worked directly with Manchester United on a few things, like when they first started doing kind of fan forums and things like that. And from that, I kind of built a network, and funnily enough, some football fans own businesses. So that helped me to develop a network, and actually got me on the path of digital marketing, which wasn't a route that I'd originally decided to go down. So the first and foremost thing I would say is the best thing you can be when building a network and finding who you are is you. And as I say, I know it sounds really cheesy and corny, but it's one thing that I've really learned is, I can be the most professional person and a different individual in front of someone, but it doesn't feel like me. And it's kind of how I've started developing clients now as well, because I work for myself on a freelance basis. So by being myself, I can find a client that I know I'll work well with. If I act as a different person, me and that client could clash and, may not work well together. So it works well to do it that way. So the first thing I would say to do is to get cracking with your social media profiles. So now is the time to kind of sort your social media profile when you're at the age kind of where you're starting to go to university, thinking about what career you want to go down. They really give potential employers a chance to kind of look through the keyhole and see who you are as an individual, because they're not just looking for the skills that you've got. I mean, Izzy, who works at UA92 as well, her and I worked together at a place called UK Fast, and they were huge on culture. And what really mattered to them was that you were a specific type of person that they felt like you would get on with the rest of the team. So by having yourself come across well on your social media profiles, you can create that person, and people can look at who you are. If you've got this sense of humor and things like that they think would fit with a team, then you're going to move further. They're also going to look at whether you're driven, whether you're knowledgeable on the subject that you're applying for a role about, or you're applying for a course on. So ensure you've got an appropriate profile photo. I think that goes as a given. We all like to get drunk every now and then, don't get me wrong, but you don't want anything where it's not, I'm not talking about having a headshot where you look super professional, but just, having one that is appropriate is perfect. And also I think it's important, if you write your goals in your bio, aspiring journalist, aspiring, whatever it is you want to be, aspiring chef or anything like that, that really can trigger conversation. If you start following somebody, they see your bio in short on Twitter, for example, they'll see your bio in short form in their notifications. And if it's something that they're interested in and they're vested in, then they're likely to follow you back to kind of track you and see what it is that you're about. Now, who is it you want to attract? And I would say follow those people now, not now while I'm speaking, but, later on. building up a network before you've graduated is a really good way to have your foot in the door before applying for roles. I did a real variety of work experience. I did a journalism degree at Salford Uni, and I worked at Q103, I worked at Granada Reports, I did some work with TalkSport, and I built up that network just by following people, engaging with them, talking to them. And I worked in sport personally. So, you know, if United had played, for example, and they'd tweeted about it, I would give my opinion across and start conversations with them. And they started to know who I was without me being kind of harassing and constantly like DMing them and saying, you know, I really want work experience. I want this, I want that. I built up that network, and then it wasn't like a cold request. It was quite warm, somebody who I'd engaged with. And I said, oh, I'm free this summer. Is there any chance I can get a bit of work experience with you? So I would really say engage with these people. And like I said earlier, amend your bio so they know who you are and exactly what it is you want to achieve, because it'll help them. Because at the end of the day, especially in journalism, sorry to keep going back to that, it's just because of the world I knew when I was a student. People are always looking for help. They're always looking for creative ideas, and that's what young people can give. You give kind of a new perspective on things, especially this younger generation coming through now. They've just got a whole different perspective on the world that the older generation doesn't have, especially the generation older than me. You know, things like sustainability, and, you know, they're all buzzwords at the moment, but it's what this generation coming through has kind of been born with. And they're really pushing for having organizations ensuring that they're being economically friendly. So another thing that I would go over is why it is you want to attract these individuals. So research the places you want to work. So as well as showing individuals what it is that you can give, you need to have a think about what these individuals can give to you. You almost need to be a bit selfish when you're developing your brand. You've got to really think about, okay, I'll follow this person, but do they give anything to me? You know, is that an organization that I really want to work for? Do their morals align with me? You know, follow these workplaces that you believe their morals do align, because it is really important. You know, find the head of department where you'd like to work, whether that's a comms role, an operations role. You know, why should they interact with you? Why should they follow you back? But also, why do you want to interact with them? What is it that makes you passionate about this individual, about this organization? Bring that across, because it's what people are interested in. It's what people want to know about you. So think about why you want to attract them. And then one social media channel I would tell you to really channel your focus on is LinkedIn. It's a brilliant place to develop really good opportunities. And it's really never, ever too early to start building your LinkedIn network. I started doing mine, I think, when I was 18 or 19. And it's a really, really valuable tool. And I would say connect with everybody. So all the individuals you've heard speak today, connect with them. Connect with the individuals like Katie and Izzy who are at UA 92. Connect with everybody that you make contact with, because they could all help you in your career at some point. On your LinkedIn profile, I would include also things like your hobbies, your interests, your school achievements, any personal projects you've done, whether you've been doing any videography, photography personally, or anything like that, or, you know, if you achieved anything on a sports team at school or anything like that. Any hobbies or interests that you think may help you get ahead, add them to your LinkedIn profile. And I would say amend your LinkedIn header to let people know why you're there and what it is and how you can help them. So your LinkedIn header is next to your profile photo on LinkedIn. There's a short kind of one-liner that you can put about yourself. And in that is similar to what I was saying about the Twitter bio. You kind of put there what it is that you want to achieve. So you can say again that you're aspiring X, Y, or Z. And try again to get a professional profile photo, because that's really important. Now I am going to pick on Izzy here, who works at UA 92, and show you someone who has got a very, very good network, but at the same time has not completed her LinkedIn profile. So I would say there's a few things about Izzy's profile that I would change. I hope Izzy doesn't mind me doing this. I'm sure she won't. So here's Izzy's profile. As you can see, she doesn't have a header image. She has an image here where you can see the branding of the organisation that she works for. She's got her role, Head of Student Recruitment Admissions. That's all fine, brilliant. Here it's got a short information about where she went to university and also where she currently works. But then if we scroll down, you look at Izzy's experience. She's got here Head of Student Recruitment and Admissions, but it doesn't have any information on what Isabel does there. I've no idea what. If I was looking at this, you wouldn't really understand what it was Izzy did. Obviously, she has got one of those job roles where you do understand what Izzy does, but at the same time, there'll be a lot more to it than just that. So Izzy, you need to amend your profile. Here where she worked at PHMG, all this is brilliant. Lots of information here, what she did, what she achieved. Again, UK Fast, she was there for 4 years, but it looks like she didn't really achieve much, which I know she did because I worked with her directly. So these things here again, Director of Operations at Sakama, not sure what she did, again at Thermavane and at Enterprise Rent-A-Car. So just including these bits here and just putting information about what it is you do. For example, like it was mentioned earlier with the previous speaker, she said that she worked in retail. Now, if you put, for example, you worked at Topshop, I think that's just gone into administration, but anyway, if you worked at Topshop, here on this information, what you can write, as Izzy's done here, with bullet points almost, you can write what it is that you do at Topshop. So it's about the organization of the clothing. It's about face-to-face customer service support, refunds. All of this kind of stuff shows you as an individual who can face adversity, because let's be honest, working in retail, as I mentioned before, I worked in retail previously, and you do get people shouting at you quite a lot, especially if you won't give them a refund. So putting information like that you've achieved, it doesn't necessarily just have to be an impressive role like head of client services, because when you're a younger individual, you're not necessarily at the same part of your career as Izzy is. So it's about writing down what you don't necessarily think are achievements in the roles that you're currently doing, but they are. Like I just said, for an example, customer services, it's a really transferable skill. It's something that I'm sure Izzy and Katie use every day when they're speaking with either students or lecturers or anybody like that. When you work in student recruitment, that's something that you really need to have really good customer service. So if you've developed that from a career in retail from a young age, then it does really help. Oh, Izzy's just connecting to audio. I'm not sure whether she's coming to shout at me for using her LinkedIn profile. And then again, Izzy's education here. I believe Izzy may have been on some sports teams when she was at school and university. They've not been mentioned, and they are really, really good. Again, transferable skills for teamwork and things like that. So they're also brilliant things to put on your LinkedIn profile. So I definitely recommend adding them on. Recommendations here. Izzy has got one recommendation, which is great, but I know if Izzy asked individuals she worked with, they would do one more often than not. If you're working with somebody and you say, would you mind doing me a recommendation on LinkedIn? I'm trying to build my network. Nobody's going to say no, because, well, it's just not kind. And it's just not something somebody's going to say no to. Everybody out there that you'll meet, 95% of people do want to help. 95% of people are nice and do want to help you out. So they will tend to leave you a recommendation. So yeah, that's just I just wanted to use that as an example, just to show somebody who has a lot of achievements who hasn't necessarily popped them onto their LinkedIn profile and the difference that it can make. So I will just go back to the PowerPoint now. So that's kind of the advice I would give on LinkedIn, is any achievement, big or small, is really important on LinkedIn, because what employers are looking for is those transferable skills. If you think being on the football team doesn't matter, it actually does. If you captain the football team, then you're showing leadership skills. It doesn't just mean you were good at football. You were chosen to captain the football team because you showed those leadership skills from a young age. So these things that you might not necessarily think are important for LinkedIn are important for LinkedIn. I would also say don't be scared either. I know it's easier said than done, but don't be afraid to let people know that you're unsure what it is you want to do or be. I recently, when I was putting this this workshop together, I asked my my Twitter followers kind of what they would say to their younger self at between like 16 and 18. And they said a lot of people came back and said this, like, don't be scared to look vulnerable. Don't be scared to say, I really like your organization, but I'm not sure what it is I want to do, but I'd really like some work experience. Because I think it shows a really good quality. It shows that you're proactive, that you like an organization, but you don't have to know exactly what you want to be when you're 16 to 18. I wanted to be a sports journalist. And then, you know, journalism started as a news source on Twitter when I was first starting my career as a sports journalist. And I was asked to, as the kind of intern junior, I was asked to do the social media updates, and I loved it. And that's how I'm now, you know, in digital marketing, award winning. Like, I've had quite a varied career that I've really enjoyed so far. So I also would say, don't be afraid to approach people that you look up to. Contact that business owner, tell them that you'd like to work for them in the future, and just say, you know, if you're available for a coffee, or at the moment a Zoom or a quick chat, and just say, you know, I really look up to you. You're somebody that I really value kind of what it is your organization's about. What is it that you're looking for in an individual? What is it that you're looking for in kind of a future superstar? Because you're never going to ever regret building up this strong network. And I know it is scary, and I know it can be a bit daunting to contact a CEO, but more often than not, they are actually nice people. And they do want to help younger people come through, and they do want to help younger people kind of achieve great things. And that's kind of the key goal that everybody's got. So being vulnerable with these mentors or people who can help you, they can also help shape you, who you are as a person, help you to develop your personal brand. It makes you feel a lot more confident if you're speaking with, you know, an individual who's got some great achievements under their belt. But it also helps you to kind of shape who it is you want to be and what it is you want to do. So by speaking with these mentors or these organizations that you really, you know, value, you can then think, right, I now know I don't want to work in operations. I want to be, you know, on the creative side. Or you may be quite a creative individual that sees that there actually is a lot of creativity in operations, and you think, actually, I really like that part and that part. So I would just say, don't ever be scared to contact somebody. And I know how daunting it is, because I've done it. I've been there and I've done it. But I'm glad I did it, because it really has helped me, especially when I went freelance last year. And having developed the network I did, it wasn't daunting even a month before a pandemic that I'd launched my business. I had so much support and loads of people giving me work and referrals and things like that. Even people that hadn't directly worked with me, because I'd built a network with them and kind of kept in touch with them and been involved with them, you know, in exchanges on LinkedIn or Twitter or Instagram. And that kind of had really helped me, and it helped people to know that exactly what it was I wanted to achieve, exactly what it is that I've done for previous organizations, and why they should refer their clients to me for marketing help. Oh, I don't know what's happened here, sorry. So yeah, if you've got any questions about that, I know that there's a lot of information there. So I'm more than happy to answer anything that you've got.
Thank you so much for that. Here's Izzy. Izzy has got many questions to ask you, and we've got actually a few questions in the question and answer as well. So I'll leave Izzy to ask those questions to you.
Yeah. I thought I'd surprise you and come on. It's not to have a go at you for pulling my LinkedIn apart. They're all valid points, and I'll definitely make them after this call. Should we start with the Q&A? That was brilliant. Thanks, Mel.
Yeah.
The first one is from Oliver. He says, does it matter the type of connections that I make, and do they have to revolve all around the career I want?
No, I would say they definitely don't need to revolve around the career that you want. For example, I work in marketing, and I've wanted to work in marketing for like the last 9 years. And my connections are with people in ops, they're with CEOs, they're with, you know, a completely different array of people. They're not just creatives. And that's helped me to gain the contacts that I wanted in order, you know, to get them as a client.
Yeah.
So they just have one specific type of person as a connection.
Okay, so keep it as broad as possible to keep the numbers up, I suppose. And we touched on LinkedIn profile pictures before. Are there any big do's and don'ts? Probably more do's, but that we should cover just for people that are wanting to get a headshot after today.
Yeah, I would just say try and get a clear background. I'm aware that I've not got a clear background. The sunshine is here, but try and get as clear of a background as you can, just like one colour. And then I think the nicest way to look is kind of like this.
Yeah,
that's just me because it was. But yeah, so I would just say just try not to have it messy in the background if you're planning on doing it. I don't think there's any kind of detriment to having a selfie or anything like that.
okay.
I don't think it makes you look less professional. I think it's just about ensuring that you've kind of made sure you've made an effort with what you're wearing and things like that. Then I think you're fine. Like, don't be in a football shirt with having a selfie kind of thing.
That professional edge with a bit of personality, would you say?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, definitely. Perfect.
Brilliant. Another question in the chat from Victoria. As you said, you started in journalism. What exactly did you do at the start of your career?
So I was a sports journalist for Granada Reports and TalkSport at the beginning of my career. And I loved it. But then, as I mentioned earlier, so using social media as a news source was just starting out when I was a journalist, which probably shows my age. But, and yeah, because I was like young and they were like, you're young, you know how to use social media. They just got me to do it. And I thought, I love this.
Yeah.
And then I started updating the websites because they started using websites.
Yeah.
Showing my age. And yeah, so I was updating things like that. And I thought, I really like this. This is what I want to do. And as much as I loved sports journalism, it was started, and I love sport. It was making me not want to not like sport anymore.
Really?
Well, I was just so encompassed in it. And at the time, it's changed a lot now, but at the time, it wasn't really a nice space for a young female, I would say. It was very, very male dominated, and it was quite daunting. Whereas now I would tell them where to go and I have a lot of confidence. But as you know, Izzy, but yeah, it just wasn't what I wanted when I was like 18, 19 and a little bit vulnerable and a little mouse in the big world. So I went down the digital marketing path and I'm really glad I did.
Yeah. So your passion for sports journalism and creating content led for a passion for creating engaging content on websites and socials, and that's where your career bloomed, really, isn't it? It's been amazing.
Yeah. So that's how it all kind of started. Yeah. So I kind of didn't make a huge leap. So I went from sports journalism to working for Sale Shark. So I did all their digital marketing and things like that. So I stayed in the sports realm.
Yeah.
For a short while, but then I kind of got, like I mentioned before, if you find organizations that you love that kind of speak your language. There was one that I loved, and it was a charity called Forever Manchester. And a role popped up with them, and it was literally my dream role. It was like fully in charge of all the comms for a junior because they were a charity.
Yeah.
So I just developed so many skills at the age of 20 that I just wouldn't have been able to do in a larger organization.
Yeah.
And with them, I developed a good network as well.
What advice would you give to someone then that now recognizes that they're passionate about creating content, writing copy? How can they get their content out there at an early age without necessarily being employed or in full-time education just yet? What could they be doing?
I would say have a blog. Get used to developing content based on kind of any newsworthy events and things like that.
Yeah.
Having a blog, I mean, don't get me wrong, I look back at my blog when I was like 18, 19 and I cringe a lot, but really, really helps.
I'm going to dig that one out later.
You're absolutely not. So it really helps me to kind of I get a lot of skills with my writing. I tweaked my writing a lot more for web and online.
Right.
It is different to like when I was doing news writing, for example.
Yeah.
It is very different, but it just gets you into a habit. I would say if you want to do the creative side, do a blog a week. That's what I did.
Okay.
And just get into that habit, because now for clients, I'm doing 4 a week.
Wow.
And when I was in-house, I was doing 2 or 3 a week.
Yeah.
Get yourself into that habit of constantly writing, because it's only going to help develop your skills further.
Yeah, and obviously, quantity and the frequency of comms is king, but on LinkedIn, do you find that leaning a bit more towards quality and what you're passionate about sort of paints a better picture of you, would you say?
Yeah, absolutely. I would definitely say that. I would say don't kind of just put things out for the sake of it. I've not put anything out this week.
Yeah.
If there isn't anything relevant, don't put it out. But even small things like today being an attendee on something like this. getting things like that on your LinkedIn, just showing that you're being proactive. I think that's really important for employers.
Yeah.
Showing that you're a proactive individual that's learning all the time.
Yeah.
If you're reading a book that's really interesting, you know, anything like that, they're all really good for LinkedIn and Twitter, really.
Yeah, I remember in my last role, I was just so busy, and I wasn't finding the time to think and stop about what I wanted to post. And I knew I was like losing the engagement that I'd spent a long time building. So whenever I read an article that I found that like resonated with me, I'd said this earlier, copied and pasted a couple of sentences that I felt were most pertinent, and then I'd use them as a commentary on the LinkedIn. And it's just a way to create content, isn't it? And
yeah, definitely
show what you stand for without having to do too much legwork.
Yeah, exactly. Let other people do it for you who've not got the time. And yeah, like you say, just copy and paste a few bits from a news article and show that you align yourself with that opinion.
Yeah.
And people can kind of just, you know, start to build who you are as a person in their mind.
Yeah. You touched earlier as well on sort of, you know, celebrating the small wins and making those more widely known. I think some people in society, it's a thing about not sort of blowing your own trumpet all the time, but how do you do it on LinkedIn? How can you finesse that to put your skills and your achievements across? Because like you say, they build a profile of someone, don't they?
Yeah, it's a very British thing. You wouldn't catch me not shouting about small wins.
Yeah.
It's a very British thing to be like, oh, I can't tell anybody.
Yeah.
But it's just about kind of like I mentioned on the when I was looking through your LinkedIn profile, it's just about putting you know, your small, because there's a section for achievements on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
If you add your achievements, it does come up on other people's feed. They do see that when you're adding achievements. You don't necessarily have to say, oh, look what I've done.
Okay.
If you add an achievement, it can be something quite small, and then people can like it and engage with it, and they just see that that's something that you've achieved. So it doesn't necessarily, you can still be British about it, but on your profile.
So publishing things publicly brings them up within your networks, and then hopefully that opens up doors and opportunities as well, doesn't it? You know, I know a few of my friends that are looking for roles at the moment, and because they're starting to like things, I see more stuff that they'd be interested in, and I share it with them, and it's a great network for building relationships, isn't it? A few people that you work with at Elevate, you know, I've met them through LinkedIn because of you, and it's such a good community. One last question then, and I think it's most relevant to those that don't necessarily have a big career history just yet, or maybe they're looking to pursue a different career path. What are the best things to put on in light of a lot of experience, paid experience? What other things can we be doing to build a really authentic LinkedIn profile in your experience?
A blog, as I mentioned, something like that. So my blog was on my LinkedIn profile when I was younger, but it's not now.
I'm still gonna find it. Yeah.
So a blog, or any, you know, if you're part of any groups, I know obviously you can't do it at the minute, but if you're part of a sports group or anything like that, you know, netball team, football team, anything like that, pop those things on your profile, because they're of interest, and you can even put them as a you know, a part of like a job role at the moment, because it kind of shows who you are. When you are young, nobody expects you to have had like loads of jobs. They don't expect you to have had a high achieving career. If you have, that's great, but it's very, very unlikely. So, and like I said, even if you've got a part-time job at the moment, put that on there. As long as you're using it, I think it's about putting those skills on. So if, like I mentioned netball earlier, you know, it's about that. With netball, you kind of have to think on your feet. You have to think fast. You know, you're a team member. If you put those skills in when you put that you're a part of a netball team, you put those skills as a bullet point, like we mentioned. Then that just shows the kind of skills that you're building as an individual, and how you're developing your personal brand.
Brilliant. Okay, great answer. Thank you. So today Mel's taught us all about being ourselves, being authentic, and building a network really early on. She's got some great tips as a business owner, and you know, I'd encourage you all to connect with her on LinkedIn. I'm sure she'll accept you. It's criminal if you don't, because she's got so many tips. But it's been great to have you, Mel, and it's lovely to see you even virtually.
Yeah, you too. Thank you very much for having me.
Proper cup of tea soon, or wine.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mel, and thanks everyone for joining us today. So that kind of wraps up the live content that we have for our first day of Futures at UA92. If you would like to kind of look at any of our on-demand content, you can go onto our YouTube playlist and you can see some on-demand content from our brilliant accounting student, Alex, who will be talking about her student life through her student life talk. And we'll also have a on-demand YouTube video from our KPMG partner, which is Making Connections with KPMG. So you can have a look at that as well. So you've had a kind of a full day from Mel talking about her personal branding. We've had Dom from Talk, we've had our CEO Marnie, and just a big focus on business. So tomorrow will be a focus on media, but in the meantime, if you have any questions, you can just contact us at futures@ua92.ac.uk, and I look forward to seeing everyone tomorrow. Thank you.
Thanks, Katie. Thanks, Mel. Bye.